Well, Damon's in Hawaii on vacation yet again, so you know what that means. Justin Spears is here, and we have another fun show for you guys. We're talking spring football, we're talking fan support for Arizona football, and we're talking so much more. It's the AZ Wildcats podcast. In 30 seconds, don't you guys move a muscle. Live from Studio K here, presented by Circle K, America's third stop. Make sure to stop by your local Circle K today. Join that inner circle. But we got an inner circle member with us here today. Justin Spears is on the pod. First of all, Spears, always a pleasure to have you here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. How are you doing? How was your Wednesday? What's going on in Spears land?
Man, busy time out of the year for me. I mean, we got Arizona spring football wrapping up, all that concluding. And then, you got the NFL draft coming up here in Green Bay. We'll see where Tetairoa McMillan lands. I'm curious to see his landing spot. I have some teams in mind that I would love to see T-Mac land at. But, yeah, you got NFL draft, got transfer portal, spring football wrapping up. It's definitely a fun and busy time.
Spears, I want to keep this light off the top because I know you are quite busy. You're a very busy man these days, so I know you got a lot of stress. So I want to keep it light off the top of this. What's the best thing you've eaten recently? I know you're a foodie, and I know Tucson has some of the best eats in all of the Southwest, dare I say, the country. What's Spears' best bite recently?
Man, I'll tell you what. Over the weekend, actually before the spring showcase, I went to Sace Kitchen over there off of Congress, or on the west side of the freeway near downtown. In Sace Kitchen, they've got multiple locations, but that one in the Mercado downtown, one of my favorite spots. I mean, especially because the weather is so beautiful right now. You got to go before it gets absurdly hot. But man, sitting outside, enjoying some great Mexican food, my go-to whenever I go there. And listen, I know I'm a guy that's got a big belly, but man, the ensalada rustica, the like this salad that they have with grilled chicken, and they have this like cilantro crema sauce that's used for the dressing. It's just out of this world. So I probably say that is the best thing that I've had to eat recently.
People always sleep on Tucson food, mostly because they think it's just Mexican food. But it's a city of gastronomy. It has some crazy, crazy eats in Tucson, and it's not the only wild thing going on in Tucson. We got journalists trying out for the football team and making a great impression. We talked about it last time you were on with Damon, Justin. You posted a video of you long snapping in your backyard, a beautiful backyard, by the way, and it kind of made some waves in Arizona land. It made it all the way to the coaching staff room there at Arizona Stadium, and this is the video that was released recently from Arizona football.
One more question for operations. Have we, or maybe we can do it today at practice, requested Mr. Spears long snaps for a field goal in the game? Dude, he put it on social. He put it on social and he ripped it.
Oh, he really did.
Ripped it. But it was impressive.
It wasn't in the dirt, was it?
No, you
okay.
with today's rules, I bet you we can find you eligibility. Huh?
Hey, I'm here. Find my eligibility. I'm here.
Find my eligibility. I'm here, he says. Spears, I wanted to ask you first, was that like a lifelong dream come true in some ways for you? And also, the OVO shirt was a nice touch. I like that.
Oh, thank you, my man. I knew out of all the people you would appreciate that. You and I are both Drake guys. So yeah, I appreciate the compliment on the OVO shirt. But yeah, growing up in Tucson, Arizona, I had always just had this dream of playing not only at the U of A, but like running out of the tunnel at the Rose Bowl. I think would just be such a majestic moment. But I didn't get to live out that Rose Bowl dream, but I did get to go on the field at Arizona Stadium and snap a football. I will never ever say anything critical about long snappers ever again because we some guys have a bad snap, but man, my nerves were pumping and there was only like maybe 2,000 people there. I can only imagine 50 to 100,000 people yelling. I can only imagine the nerves that long snappers are feeling in that moment. But yeah, man, it was a fun time. I'm glad that Arizona football saw my long snapping talents. Now, if they want to reach out to me about possibly joining the team, I don't know about my eligibility. And listen, man, I'm cheap, right? When it comes to revenue sharing and NIL, all I want is just NIL payments and Raising Cane's chicken. If I can get some Raising Cane's chicken in my life while also playing at the University of Arizona, I'm here for it. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen.
Brent Brennan, you heard it here first. The man has a low asking price. Get him in the door. No, that's really funny. I couldn't believe that when I saw that in my feed, that I saw a video of the entire Arizona coaching staff talking about Justin Spears' long snapping. Did not expect that at all. But it did take place at the spring showcase. So that was obviously an event that Damon and I were at. We had our show there. It was a great time, wonderful experience. It was an honor and a pleasure. What was your spring game experience like? What were your thoughts on the overall kind of party that Arizona Athletics put on?
Well, first and foremost, job well done to you and Damon Dog and Erica and all the other people that just Cohen, my guy Cohen Kinney, who's been doing a great job this spring as well. You guys have a great team of people that are hard at work, and you guys are really good at what you do. And to see you guys, set up shop live, doing interviews with Brent Brennan, with the coordinators, with the players, like that was really awesome. So good job all the way around for the PHNX crew out there at the Arizona Spring Showcase. And I think, just to kind of recap the whole day, it was a festive event. Honestly, you wouldn't have thought this team went 4-8 last season with how many smiles and the feel good vibes that were out there on that field. And, of course, this team still has a lot to prove, right? They did go 4-8. They have a lot of questions that still need to be answered, and we may not get those answers until the season gets going. And Brent Brennan understands that, he can't just, he can't win games and kind of win back the fans who left his first season with a sour taste in their mouth. And he understands that. It's like, listen, I can't win games between the ASU game and the season opener, but I think in that span, Brent Brennan and the program, they've made all the right moves. They ripped the offense down to the studs. They brought in a guy by the name of Seth Doege, who's putting together a really fun offense and is kind of tailoring, his style with the personnel that they have. Bringing in Big Joe Salavea, one of the, in my opinion, probably the best coaching hire you could have made, because, that guy is one of the best defensive line coaches in all of college football, and you got him to come back to his alma mater at the University of Arizona. I think moving the coaches around, getting guys from the transfer portal, some of the additions that they've made all the right steps. And I was curious how they were going to handle the spring game, because with the revenue sharing era expected to come into play here in this upcoming season. I know there's still some stuff there regarding that, but it's expected that revenue sharing is going to have a profound impact on collegiate athletics, especially football. And with NIL, there's this weird thing going on in college football where NIL collectives and agents are just sitting there monitoring spring games, monitoring practices. And, a guy may go off for 4 touchdowns in the spring game, but he's more of like a second stringer at this place. And now that you have this NIL collective or this agent saying, hey, man, I can get you maybe an additional $100,000 to $200,000 if you leave this place and come to this other school. And so there is this poaching happening in college football right now. And there's also, the health factor. You want to make sure that your guys are available in August, September, October, November. As much as it's great to see Noah Fifita throw touchdown passes in March, they want to make sure that Noah Fifita is throwing touchdown passes during the season. So there's the poaching part of it. There is the health part of it. And unfortunately, some schools across the country, Kevin, are shutting down spring games. Like, I don't even think Nebraska had a spring game. USC shutting down their spring games. Like, there's roughly 20 programs at the Power 4 level that have just completely canceled their spring games. And so Arizona, they recognize, okay, we can't just shut down our spring game. We need to put butts in seats for this upcoming season. We need to create some sort of excitement around this football program. And that was really a category that they kind of failed at last year with public engagement and, bridging that gap between the program and the fans. And this year, what they wanted to do was, hey, let's invite the fans out for free. Let's put them on the field. Let's put a beer garden out there. Let's put live music out there. Let's get some activities for the kiddos. If they're not interested in watching Arizona football practice or do this little scrimmage, let's get them to just hang out and enjoy the experience at Arizona Stadium. And my colleague, Michael Lev, actually pointed this out. The last time that fans were on the field at Arizona Stadium was when they were rushing the field in the 2023 season, when they were beating UCLA and Oregon State. After that, no fans were ever on the field. And to see fans like leaning up against the gate, kind of cheering on the players, like there was a moment in the spring game or spring showcase where cornerback Elijah Brown, who's in the transfer portal, just kind of the way it is right now, he strip sacked backup quarterback Braden Locke, returned it for a touchdown, and now the touchdown was the gate that shut off that one side of the field. But they were celebrating with the fans. The fans were super excited. He got flagged for excessive celebration. But like that community engagement is going to take you a long way. And it took me back to when I was growing up on the Mike Stoops era, and I would go out and meet these players, and I wanted my parents to take me to games later on that season because I wanted to cheer for these guys. And, chess, not checkers, man. There could very well be the next Bijan Robinson in attendance. And that next great recruit is probably thinking like, man, I remember all the Arizona spring football games that I went to. I always wanted to be a Wildcat. And now Arizona has a leg up on maybe some other schools that are recruiting these kids. So I think, listen, man, in this weird era that we're in, the fact that Arizona was able to not really display the goods for teams to poach their players, keep everybody healthy, while also creating an event that can engage fans with this football team, they checked all the right boxes, and I think it was definitely a positive development for Arizona.
Yeah, I totally second everything you had to say there, and I also want to add that it's not even just the fans that came out to watch the spring showcase specifically that could be impacted years down the line. It's also guys like Genesis Smith who have charity youth foundations, and they run they have activities with the youth. Genesis Smith brought out a bunch of middle schoolers to watch the spring showcase, sign some cleats, sign some gloves, and yeah, I think that they smashed it out of the park in the fan engagement aspect of things at the spring showcase. And it had me kind of thinking because, the internet is very loud. The opinions that get shared on the internet are extremely loud, but often they're not the majority opinion. It's the loud minority on social media that kind of tend to vocalize their opinions a lot more with like sports specifically in these things. Going into this season, I was kind of unsure, weary, concerned, whatever word you want to use, about whether or not fans would be able to get behind this year's team, whether or not fans would show up day one to support this year's team. And after being at the spring showcase, I was kind of reminded that, one, the internet is not real life. There are a lot of happy Arizona Wildcat fans that, while they were disappointed in last season, are not just going to fully abandon the school and abandon Noah Fifita and the rest of the boys just because they only put up 4 wins in the last season. Where do you think fan support is at? Arizona is clearly trying to increase fan engagement, but is it being received, and how will it look game 1 against Hawaii?
Yeah, I think, of course, there's the sector of the Arizona fan base that's like, okay, cool, you're doing all the feel good stuff in the offseason, but how's that going to translate to wins? And I get it, man, because this is a bottom line business. You could be the nicest guy in the world, but if you don't produce, you're going to get canned. That's just the way it is. And so college football is definitely a cutthroat bottom line business. But I think that after the first season, Brent Brennan did a great job of engaging with the fans and getting his players out there too, right? Because, these Arizona fans, they're not out here rooting for Brent Brennan. While Brent Brennan is a nice guy and a solid dude, these fans are out here cheering for Noah Fifita. They're cheering for some of these other players. And so after the season ended and they got all the guys from the transfer portal, they would have players sign autographs leading up to Arizona athletic events. Like, you could go see Noah Fifita before a U of A basketball game. Oh, all these interesting transfers that are new faces that should impact the program. Yeah, let's put them at a table right outside Rita Hillenbrand Stadium and have them sign autographs. So I think the fact that they got the players out there in the community, you have Noah Fifita running football camps that's blending football and faith, Genesis Smith mentoring middle school kids and having them come out to the spring showcase. I think the fan engagement, the fan support, it's always going to be there. Now, the good news for Arizona is while you still have a lot of support, man, if you start winning some football games, that fan support's really going to amplify and turn up a little bit. So I think I agree with you, Kevin. I think that the internet is not a real place. And there is still a lot of support for this Arizona football program. Are they going to be selling out games this fall? Probably not, right? But I think I definitely think there's not going to be this half-empty stadium that people are expecting when they start the football season.
I do agree with you, and I think as soon as, and if, I guess, the wins start rolling in, I think more fans on a Saturday night will forego hitting University Avenue maybe to watch the football team, I think, if the wins do start rolling in. But yeah, like I said earlier, I do worry a little bit about that, like, kind of more younger crowd, and also the older crowd. Both ends of the spectrum, I think. The youngest and the oldest, will they pop out if the wins are not there? Spears and I are going to talk a lot more about Arizona football on the other side of this break. We got T-Mac draft location to discuss, and Arizona just added a new offensive lineman through the transfer portal. All that and more on the other side of this break. It's the AZ Wildcats podcast. Don't you go anywhere. Well, folks, you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. We got a Cardinals draft day watch party tomorrow. Not in a week, not in a month. It is literally already upon us. The NFL draft is here, and you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos when you pop out to our Cardinals draft day watch party. Bo Brock, Johnny Venerable, Damon Dog will be there in spirit because he is currently on a beach somewhere. But make sure to check out the Upper Deck Bar and Grill for an unforgettable NFL Draft Day Party live show presented by Circle K. Shout out to Circle K Studios and Gila River Resorts and Casinos for $99. The ticket includes entrance into the Upper Deck Bar and Grill, the live show, all-you-can-eat buffet dinner from 5 to 7. I know myself and Justin Spears can get behind that. Drink tickets for everyone 21 and over. And then if you're under 21, you also, I believe, get free, soda pops. Raffle tickets as well for great giveaways. Diehards receive 20% off of all of our great events that we put on here. And we're doing a diehard sale. So get in, become a diehard, and come to Gila River Resorts for our Cardinals watch party. You do you at Gila River Resorts Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. Also, if you do make it big at Gila River, make sure to get you some new flooring with Empire Today. Empire Today, we cannot stress the importance of flooring in your home enough. it is literally the thing that you walk on around your house every day. So why not make it the highest quality possible? And we've all been to the big box stores. You wander endless aisles. You don't even really know what you're looking for, what you're looking at. And then somehow you're getting all this stuff back into your little tiny Kia trying to go home, and it does not work. Those big box stores might have a flooring department, but they don't have flooring experts. They just have people that work in the flooring department. Empire today has flooring experts and the best jingle in the game, 800-588-2300 Empire. You guys all know it, so make sure to check out our friends over at Empire today, because it is the best. They have the flooring experts to pick the right flooring and colors for your space, get precise measurements taken, and have all your questions answered right there, so there are no more doubts. Schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. PHNX listeners can receive a $350 discount when using code PHNX. Yes, you heard me correct. $350 off your new floors with Empire today. Discount code PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit Empire today/PHNX for full details. And we're back. Me and Justin Spears back on the AZ Wildcats podcast. We are going to be discussing Arizona's newest offensive line transfer, Chance Roberts, who has joined from the University of Albany. The 6'5", 300-pound big boy. It will be making his way down to Tucson. And I know, Spears, you had a piece recently not only about Chance Roberts, but Jordan Brown possibly, picking up that injury during spring ball. How does that affect Arizona's O-line? We have yet to see. But can you tell us a little bit about Chance Roberts and what Arizona's getting in the University of Albany talent?
Yeah, man. He was a left tackle / left guard for the Great Danes. Great mascot, by the way. You don't see too many mascots.
Incredible dog mascot.
Absolutely. Got the big dogs out there. And he's certainly a big dog, man. 6'5", 300 pounds. He played left tackle at Albany, but he also moved inside to left guard in a handful of games. So I think Arizona's pretty solid at tackle. Like if you look at the possibility of Ty Buchanan, Tristan Bounds, the transfer from Michigan. Heck, Brent Brennan didn't even rule out maybe Big Rhino Tapatotai moving inside to guard, which could be something worth watching here in preseason training camp after the summer. But yeah, this guy, Chance Roberts, he's going to give Arizona some depth in the interior offensive line. And that was something that Seth Doege noted as a position of need. He noted tight end, getting another guy out there, and then interior offensive line, because Jordan Brown, the transfer from Georgia Tech, he was in that mix at starting left guard at the start of spring. And then he goes down with like an upper body injury, his arm's in a cast. I'm not going to diagnose it if it's like an elbow or a shoulder or wherever. I'm not a doctor, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn. And and I think that losing Jordan Brown, you had to go out there and get a guard. And so they got Chance Roberts. Is he going to start? I don't know. Maybe not. But you have to get some depth there, because as we saw last season on the defensive side of the ball, but also on the offensive line, Arizona had 7 different starting offensive lines last season. So you need to have some continuity. You need to have some depth there. And you need to have guys that are like true to their position, because there was so much musical chairs going on with the offensive line. I mean, you had Jonas Avinaya moving from one side of the line to the other. You had guys from going from guard to tackle. Like, there was so much shuffling. I think getting guys in their right seats, in their right spots, is going to be important. And I think Chance Roberts right there, whether it's at left guard, whether it's as a backup right guard to Alexander Deuce, expect him to get some love in the interior offensive line. And that it's going to be interesting for Big Chuba Mai, defensive tackle, who moved to the offensive side of the ball. He has some center experience. He played center at Long Beach Poly. And I thought when they made that move from defense to offense, I thought Chuba was going to be Arizona's starting center, but we didn't see him take a single snap this spring. He was mostly, or for the entire spring, he was playing left guard. So it's going to be interesting to see, what they do with that center guard spot. At center, they had Grayson Stovall, the redshirt junior, who was a part of that loaded 2022 recruiting class, has been limited because he's been Josh Baker's backup for the last several years now. Is he going to be the guy? Kayana DeCambra, the transfer from Hawaii, Noah Fifita referred to him as a Swiss Army knife on the offensive line. He could play tackle. He could play guard. He's never played center before, though, and he was the guy playing center when Grayson Stovall went down with injury. So, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, and Brent Brennan even said it after the spring game. Arizona's offensive line is not going to get solidified, maybe even like a couple games into the season. Like, that is going to be a work in progress. They're going to roll out a handful of guys, and we'll see how that unit works out.
And yeah, as much as we love to have an offensive line that is cemented at game 1 or game 2, when you do have 6 offensive line transfers, Roberts being the 6th, and 26 overall transfers coming into your team, I feel like there's not going to be very many position groups in general that are cemented, decided by that first Hawaii game. So yeah, no, it's interesting to me with this offensive line. You talk about the versatility that a lot of these linemen have, a lot that the kind of the optionality that Brent Brennan and Seth Doege are going to have to work with. Do you think that, because this will be the second season where Brent Brennan's had more of an offensive line that has a lot of shuffling to it, do you think that's a result of him still trying to make this his roster? Or do you think that Brent Brennan is more of a coach that appreciates being able to shuffle his offensive line around and give teams different looks?
Well, I also think, too, it's a position of need because you're losing Jonas Savinaya, you're losing Josh Baker, you're losing Wendell Moy. I mean, those are 3 mainstay guys that you're not going to have. So you got to replace them. And not only do you have to replace them, but you got to have some replacements for their replacements. So they got to add some depth. They did so in the 2025 recruiting class between the portal, between the high school / junior college guys. I mean, you mentioned all those transfers that they're bringing in. Between the high school, junior college, and transfer portal, Arizona has signed 13 offensive linemen. 13 scholarship offensive linemen are going to be added to Arizona's roster in this upcoming season. So I like the pieces they have. I think Alexander Deuce at right guard is going to be rock solid, with a year under his belt, another year in the weight room. I mean, he could potentially be Arizona's most effective offensive lineman in this upcoming season. And so I think the depth, especially at the portal level, I think is really going to help out Arizona. Now, is it going to be a complete turnaround? No, because, there were moments in the spring where Arizona's defensive line kind of kicked their ass. And, you had big Deshaun McKnight getting in the backfield. And, I mean, he looked like a superstar in spring. And, while Deshaun McKnight is a really good player, was it because he's that good, or is it because the offensive line needs a little bit of work? And that's kind of the unfortunate part about spring and training camp is, like, when one side of the ball does really well, that means the other side isn't doing so well. And I think the offensive line in the spring is still one of the biggest question marks for the Arizona Wildcats. And, they're going to move some pieces around. And I think the offense is tailored around the offensive line potentially struggling, because what I've seen in spring is getting the ball out of Noah's hands quickly, getting it to the slot guys, getting it to the tight ends. Like, Noah's not holding on to that football. And Kev, you'll appreciate this. So there's this stat on Pro Football Focus. It's called time to throw. Yep. TTT, triple T, which is a good truck stop, by the way, off of there on I-10 in Kolb. Love the triple T breakfast. But in 2023, Noah Fifita's time to throw, he didn't have a single game over 3 seconds. In 2024, in this lethargic, whatever the hell you want to call it, offense, he had, I think, maybe one game under 3 seconds, and everything else was well over 3 seconds. Which, I mean, people that aren't like football nerds, that aren't, diving deep into the weeds here, I understand it's only like a couple of milliseconds, but that's a big difference, right? And when you're holding on to the ball longer than 3 seconds as a quarterback, that means the plays aren't developing. You're not getting the ball out of your hands. And when you look at the offense in 2023, like I said, every single game, his TTT was under 3 seconds. Fast forward a year later, pretty much every single game was over 3 seconds. Look at the difference between the offense. So I think getting the ball out of Noah's hands quickly, albeit, Arizona, they did have Jacob Cowing. They did have Tanner McLaughlin in 2023, right? It's easy to throw to, a couple of NFL guys in addition to your longtime best friend in Tetairoa McMillan, and the protection was much better. So there are those factors. But I think Seth Doege recognizes, okay, we need to protect Noah, and we can't allow him to just keep drifting backwards into this abyss deep into the pocket when, he's just backpedaling and then he's getting killed. We need to get the ball out quickly. And so far, that's definitely been a positive development for Arizona, is getting that ball out of Noah's hands.
And you say that people might be like, well, it's only half a second or 1 second, but like I think the average football play lasts like 6 seconds or something along those lines, right? So like when you're talking about only having 6 seconds from snap to like dead ball, half a second is a lot when you're talking about that.
Yep.
But Eric Duthie says here in the chat, is this Josh Ogleby's last chance with U of A? I do want your thoughts on that, but two, I also think that when you're talking about protecting Noah Fifita and what went wrong last year, like when people were talking about Noah Fifita maybe being like gun shy or being in his own head or just making incorrect decisions out there, a lot of that is also due to him not being properly protected, right? A lot of that is him not feeling comfortable in his own pocket to even have the wherewithal to make the proper decisions in the moment. So I'm totally lockstep with you on Doege having to protect Noah Fifita and maybe speeding up that process so that the line that is being shuffled and has been shuffled for months now doesn't have as much of an opportunity to get pushed around. It's an in and out kind of a thing. But to throw it back to you, what are your thoughts on Josh Ogleby's opportunity this season and his future with Arizona?
Well, I mean, they got to figure out if he's got some eligibility, because that is a mountain of a human being. That guy is easily the largest coach I have ever been around. And I think Brent Brennan has joked around saying like, hey, Josh, when you go out and recruit guys, you're the template. They got to like be in your ballpark and we'll accept them.
Makes it really easy to do all the measurables.
Well, yeah, and I think, Oglesby, he was dealt such a bad hand last year. Like, yes, Jonas Savinaya, one of the best offensive linemen in recent history, alongside, Jordan Morgan. I put him in that conversation. But Big Jonah was a great offensive lineman. But you're over here moving him around because of all the injuries that you've accrued over time. And I think the blocking, the weirdness that they had, like it almost had to be like precise blocking. And if it wasn't precise, if it wasn't timed correctly with the way that the guards pulled, the way that other guys pulled or moved, the play would just get blown up. And I think a big part of that was because of the offense that Dino Baber / Matt Atkins was running. I think this year you're going to see more, different objectives for the offensive line. It's not going to be those weird, precisely timed plays for them to block. And I think that Oglesby, with the amount of offensive linemen that they've added in this offseason and the continuity that they're trying to build right now, I think you're going to see Arizona's offensive line improve. Josh Oglesby is a great coach. Unfortunately for him, he had the most injury-plagued units at Arizona last season. So I'll pump the brakes on any Josh Oglesby criticism until we see, what he could do with the full deck this season if they stay healthy.
Yes, and then moving on from the offensive line discussion there, if you protect Noah Fifita with the offensive line, hopefully he's getting it to receivers. And one of the receivers that he's not going to be able to get it to because he's going to the draft, because he is one of the greatest Arizona Wildcats to ever lace him up, T-Mac. We are talking draft destinations here with Justin Spears. And you said on this show, Spears, that I believe I'm quoting you, but I'm going to say it's a paraphrase. If you want to see a fat white guy do a backflip, draft T-Mac to the Chargers. And now it seems more and more likely by the day. So I want to check in on where you're at as a T-Mac fan and as a Chargers fan, but also what you make of the current narrative surrounding T-Mac's draft stock.
Man, T-Mac is the most polarizing draft prospect to ever come out of the University of Arizona. It's truly fascinating, man. And listen, every NFL draft prospect is going to be put under the microscope and kind of nitpicked. But man, what they're saying about this guy that he doesn't care. He's not an absolute, film junkie or anything like that. And the not caring part is what gets me, because I'm like, okay, well, he certainly seemed to care when he could have opted out the entire season, right? He could have said, screw Bobby Wade's record. I got this leg injury that I suffered in the spring. I ain't risking it. I'm already a first round pick. I'm opting out. Kevin, I'm telling you what, man, I got messages, DMs, emails daily, weekly from national guys, people all over the country that are saying, is T-Mac going to opt out? Is he going to play? I'm like, where are you guys getting this information? I see him rehabbing every single day. Like, yes, the guy is going to play. And so he played this season. He got Bobby Wade's record. And that was after the TCU game. And that was the game where they were eliminated from bowl contention. And so I'm like, he's already got the record. They're not going to a bowl game. Like, as far as I'm concerned, the ASU game, that is their bowl game. But it's kind of meaningless, right? I know Arizona fans are probably going to take that a certain way, like, oh, the Territorial Cup is meaningless. What are you talking about? Listen, if I'm facing millions of dollars, I'm sorry, but this regular season game, I know it's a rivalry game, it doesn't mean shit. Like, I'm sitting out, man. This is my draft stock. This is my career. But T-Mac is not that kind of guy. T-Mac wanted to finish off his Arizona career, wanted to play one last game with his longtime best friend, Noah Fifita, because there's a good chance those two are never going to be teammates ever again. And when Arizona was already out of bowl contention, he already got the record, he still showed up and played in that game. Does that seem like a guy that doesn't care? And that's the thing that just irks me. It's like, oh, look at his body language. He doesn't care. I'm like, dude, he's a Cali cool guy, man. He's nonchalant. That's the way he is. He's not over here pounding his chest, being this, like, I don't know, just kind of uber confident or arrogant wide receiver like we've seen many guys at that position. He's a guy that's just super laid back. And unfortunately,
but you know what's crazy about that? Not to cut you off, but you know what's crazy about that is if he was the bombastic, like, arrogant, like, diva profile of receiver, they would have dinged him for that. They would say, oh, well, he's an attitude problem. You don't want him in the locker room. But he's all business. All he does is work and play football. And then they're like, I don't know if he cares. I don't know. Sometimes, and I've been saying this throughout the draft process, and I said it yesterday, and I think I'm onto something with this. Sometimes when you're known, when your talent is a known entity, I feel like you can more easily slide down the draft board as other unknown entities give new, fun, shiny information to draft analysts. Like, ooh, look at the 40. Ooh, look what he did in his high jump. And it's like, but you were saying all year that this guy's a better player. And now just because there's new, fun information for this Marcus Golden guy, all of a sudden he's a better wide receiver prospect than T-Mac, when that's literally never, ever been the case from anyone who's ever evaluated those two players. And yeah, I feel like that's kind of what's happening to T-Mac right now, where he's being punished just for keeping his head down and going to work every day.
You can't win, T-Mac. You can't win. And I think for him is don't change a thing. Like, continue being T-Mac. And the comments around him have been just so interesting. And Steve Smith Sr., I mean, he's a great player, right? He had a great career with the Carolina Panthers, like, freaking legend. But, like, some of the stuff that he said about T-Mac and Bobby Wade was just completely out of pocket. And, some of the analysis that he said, I was like, okay, I see where you're coming from, but, like, those are comments that could have been made after his freshman season. Like, he can't get away from defenders. He can't run with the ball. And I'm like, whoa. He's had like 900 plus yards of yak in his collegiate career. That's a lot of yards, man. 900 plus yards of yak. Like, this guy is a legit receiver. He is a legit talent. Not only can he jump out the gym and win those 50-50 balls where it's more like 80-20 for him, he can also get away from defenders too. And people were wondering, oh, what's his 40 time going to look like? The man, whether it's a high 4.4, whether it's a low 4.5, like some other time or some other reporters are posting, when you are 6'5" and 215, 220 pounds, and you can run that fast, you are a specimen. Now for T-Mac, what I'm hoping is he gets into the right situation. I think the front office matters. I think quarterback play matters, which is why I'm like, don't go to the Carolina Panthers. Please don't go number 8 overall to Carolina. I would hate for T-Mac to go there. But I like potentially number 5 with the Jacksonville Jaguars because, and I got to give a huge shout out to my guy, Michael Lev, who pointed this out on our podcast. Liam Cohen, the new head coach of the Jaguars, Mr. Duval, that guy.
What up? What they do? What do?
Duval. He coached Mike Evans with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Correct.
And he was the offensive coordinator. Mike Evans, 11 straight seasons with 1,000+ yards. Mike Evans is a great comp for T-Mac. And I think with Brian Thomas already being there, T-Mac can step in and not be that workhorse wide receiver. They can build around him and allow T-Mac to really get his feet wet in the NFL, right? When he first got to Arizona, he had Jacob Cowing. He had Tanner McLaughlin. He had some other weapons around him, and it allowed T-Mac to really develop into this great player. And I'm hoping that's what we see out of T-Mac in his next chapter in the NFL, whether it's going to Jacksonville where he's got a Liam Cohen who can maximize his talents and not really rely on him. He can go with Brian Thomas. And it pains me to say the Dallas Cowboys, because my goodness, Jerry Jones calling him Tet would just piss me off beyond belief. And
I didn't even think about that. He's never going to get his name right.
We really like Tet in his offensive skill sets that he brings to the Cowboys. Like I'm just thinking of
doing great things, and
it's going to be Tet in Jerry Jones's eyes or in his how he views him. So while it does piss me off that he could call him Tet, I also get excited because Dak Prescott, or we call him Dak Prescott in Arizona. Dak Prescott is a solid quarterback. Yes, he's got injury problems, but it's not a bad quarterback. And CeeDee Lamb is their number 1 wide receiver. So that's another situation where T-Mac can be T-Mac and not be wide receiver 1. I think 5 to Jacksonville, all the way to maybe number 20 with the Denver Broncos. I think that is T-Mac's range. As much as I want to see my beloved Chargers draft him number 22 overall, I don't see it happening. But man, if he is available at number 22 overall, Jim Harbaugh coaching him up, going to Justin Herbert, T-Mac going back home to Los Angeles. They do need some wide receivers. Sign me up.
Yeah, no, sign me up for that too. There are a couple teams, I was talking about this on yesterday's show. There are a couple teams that I really think would be, whether it's realistic or not, would be the vehicle for T-Mac, cementing himself as, if he can stay healthy. We know that he has the potential to have a 10+ year NFL career if he stays healthy, but going to the right franchise would kind of cement that. And I think the Broncos, the Chargers, the Cowboys, I saw him mocked as low as 25 to the Texans. And if you could link him up with C.J. Stroud and what they got going on over there with DeMeco Ryans and such, there are a bunch of good options for T-Mac. And it's a nice spot to be in, especially when you have a player that comes from your school and they're going to go in the top half of the draft. There are some times where it's like, damn, there are no good teams that are going to take my guy. But it seems like there are only really 1 or 2 options that you really wouldn't want T-Mac to go to, which is a really nice feeling. I don't know if the Panthers really feel like they're 1 receiver away. And if that's the case, then that's unfortunate. But I was talking about this yesterday. I feel like the Jaguars at 5 is kind of where he started being mocked in the initial process of this all. And it seems like he started to slip down the boards as, fit and rumors start to swirl about other teams picking other players and such. I just feel as though if the Jaguars want to pick T-Mac to prove to Trevor Lawrence that they're investing in him, I think that there are other ways that they can do that without doubling up on Brian Thomas Jr., which I admit it would be a great combo of Brian Thomas Jr. and T-Mac, but I don't think the Jaguars are 1 T-Mac away from, being true contenders. So I feel like they maybe should look elsewhere. I would, for T-Mac's pockets, I hope he goes early, but for T-Mac's success, I hope he falls to a team that is already nearing playoff contention.
Absolutely. And I think slipping in this draft. It has nothing to do with T-Mac's talents. It's just kind of what teams are prioritizing. Like you said, Kevin, like, do you want to get a wide receiver early on, or you could wait till the second round, third round to find those guys? And I think this is going to be kind of similar to the NFL draft with, I think it was Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnston. Like, those guys did not go until the 20s. Maybe we see something like that Thursday night. But no matter where T-Mac goes, I think he's going to have a great NFL career. I think the fit certainly matters. And I'm just so happy for him in his next chapter, because this guy's a dog, and he's going to make an NFL team very, very happy. And you know what? This could be a historic day for Arizona football, because Big Jonas Avinaya, there's a possibility that he goes late in that first round. And the last time Arizona had 2 first rounders in the same draft was back in 1990. So it's been a while since Arizona's had a couple of first rounders. It's crazy. Like, several programs like consistently have multiple first rounders, right? Like the Georgias, the Alabamas.
Yeah, they'll have like 4.
Ohio State, like they have, 3-4 guys go in the first round. Arizona hasn't had multiple in quite some time. And, how about Arizona football? You got to give a shout out to Jed Fish. And I know a lot of Arizona fans are going to be, kind of thrown up in their mouth when they hear that. But, he brought in this talent. He brought in T-Mac. He brought in Big Jonah. His staff developed Big Jordan Morgan last year, who became the number 25th overall pick to the Green Bay Packers. So, in recent years, we've looked at the NFL draft as like, is Arizona going to have anybody drafted? Like, okay, we'll monitor day 3 to see if there's a guy going in that 6th or 7th round slot. Now we're talking about the possibility of 2 first rounders for Arizona a year after having a first round pick in Jordan Morgan. It's cool to see the NFL draft actually, having some significance for Arizona football.
Yeah, no, and I thought that was a really nice point that you brought up about how, as much as we might not like to talk about the positive things Jed Fish did, he did kind of revive that pro pipeline from from Arizona to the NFL. He kind of brought that back. He repaired it and got it functioning again. And even though he has departed, and we do have Brent Brennan now, it seems like that pipeline will continue, as we do have players coming in that could possibly have some pro dreams. Justin Spears, it has been an honor to speak to you today. It is always fun, and I'm hoping that you get that letter of intent from the University of Arizona here pretty soon to come sign on and be the long snapper. But I know you got a busy day, so I'm not going to keep you for very much longer. I'm going to give you the floor to plug whatever you got to plug so that you can carry on about your day.
Yeah, man. So I recently, speaking of the NFL draft, I just wrote a story on Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt, the running back who played one season, more like one game, at Arizona. And we actually talked about the whole eligibility issues and, what went down. Some issues happened at Alabama State. There was some miscommunication and some things got kind of lost in the sauce a little bit. And unfortunately for him, it cost him his one season at Arizona. So an interesting story there regarding Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt. But, he's an interesting case because, he balled out in his one game at Arizona, killed it in the East-West Shrine Bowl, was probably the best running back at Big 12 Pro Day, had the fastest 40 time, showed his strength. So his offseason has positioned him into becoming an NFL draft pick despite not playing at Arizona. And you can honestly make an argument that not playing at Arizona actually helped him because he's got more tread on the tires. He didn't take 200 plus hits in his last year of playing college football. So look out for for our guy Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt to maybe get drafted. Tyler Loop, the kicker, is also probably going to get drafted as well. So it's going to be a busy time. I'll have all the coverage on Tucson.com/the Arizona Daily Star. And I'm doing my morning radio show with my guy, Ali Farhang. ESPN Tucson, our show is Spears and Ali. We had Tommy Lloyd and lead singer of Midland, Mark Weistrack, who's a very prominent celebrity U of A fan. We had them in studio earlier this morning. You could check out that interview on Spears and Ali YouTube page. You can subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcast. But Kevin, you're the man. Love seeing you guys out here in Tucson, Arizona. Let's see each other again very soon. And yeah, man, until next time.
Yeah, until next time, Justin Spears, make sure to check out all his work at the Arizona Daily Star, doing incredible stuff over there. And I will probably text you later, Spears, and I'll see you on Twitter as well. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too, man. Thank you.
All right, so we have a lot more to talk about in the last 10 minutes of this show. But before we get to that, let's take a quick break on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Well, after a long day at work, I like to go home and enjoy a nice, healthy, happy hour. And the best way to do that is with our friends over at Cornbread Hemp. It's America's first ever USDA organic THC gummy. And they don't use any synthetic ingredients or, get this, no harsh solvents, no petrochemicals, no industrial acids. And until I started reading about our friends over at Cornbread Hemp, I did not know that those ingredients were in other brands' gummies. It kind of terrified me, and that's why I only eat our friends over at Cornbread Hemp's THC gummies. 10 milligrams of THC per gummy is just the right dose, Farm Bill compliant, and for legal adults over the age of 21. If you're looking for a healthier, happier way to enjoy a carefree moment, you have to give Cornbread Hemp a try. They've created the first ever USDA organic THC gummy, like I said, and it's 100% legal. As a special offer for just our listeners, you can use code PHNX to get 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com, use /PHNX, and use promo code PHNX at checkout. Again, that's cornbreadhemp.com /PHNX. Use code PHNX for 30% off your first order. Cheers to a healthier, happy hour. And maybe you're using Cornbread Hemp to celebrate buying your first home with our friends over at Carol Royce, because I preach about it every day on this show. Home ownership is extremely important. I am trying to grind my way up to one day being a homeowner myself. I am just a young buck, but that does not mean that I cannot care about home ownership and understand the importance of it. If you are thinking about buying your first home, your dream home, or maybe just your next home, you need to get to know Carol Royce like we have over here at PHNX. She is an incredible lady, diehard Arizona sports fan, by the way, just the entire state. She loves the state of Arizona, and so do we, and that's why we love Carol Royce. So as the market shifts and interest rates adjust, now may be your best time to get yourself into your new home. So if you're ready to find your dream home, take the next step. Call Carol Royce at 480-776-5231 or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com. Tell them I sent you. That's carolroyceteam.com. Terms and conditions do apply. Well, folks, we got about 9 minutes left here in this show, and I wanted to wrap it up with some news and notes from around the Arizona athletics world. And first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Big Brothers Big Sisters. We are starting a partnership here at All City with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and it couldn't mean any more to me and the people here in this office to be able to give back to the community here in Arizona with our service to our community. It's super important. We preach about community all the time with our diehard memberships. And again, we are running that sale. So if you do want to become a diehard and get in on this incredible opportunity to join the PHNX community while you can, make sure to take advantage of that. But like I said, we preach about community all the time with our diehard stuff, and we really wanted to be about our actions here. Be about our words with our actions here, with our partnership with Big Brothers Big Sisters. So I just wanted to give that a shout out real quick. Also wanted to give a shout out to my survey that I am currently running for, kind of trying to gauge where Arizona fans are at in relation to certain topics that surround the athletic program right now, like Brent Brennan, Seth Doege, Becky Burke, Carter Bryant, all of that good stuff. So make sure to click that link in the chat and make sure to answer that survey. I will be writing an article about it, and it will possibly come up. Maybe your answer will come up in an upcoming episode of the AZ Wildcats podcast. Michael in the chat says, Achol Mago to the Cats, Tucson native. That is true, I believe. Is that confirmed? I'm assuming it's confirmed because you're saying it here in the chat. But yes, Texas Tech transfer looks to be coming to Tucson back home. And I mean, Becky Burke continues to kill it. I am ecstatic about the hire of Becky Burke, at least until we see it on the court. Everything she seemingly touches turns to gold, and every player she seemingly contacts commits to her, apparently. So that is a little bit of women's basketball talk there as Becky Burke continues to round out her roster, get some bigs. Noah Francois joins the squad. They just officially announced Freddie Wallace from the Arizona women's basketball Twitter today. But also, you see I'm wearing this shirt, chat. You see I'm wearing this shirt. Mason White, shout out to the Arizona Campus Store for this one. baseball plays tonight, and it is a very special night because I expect each and every one of you to send me photos of your dogs at High Corbett because it is Bark in the Park night for Arizona baseball. One of my favorite baseball promotions. You all know I love animals. I love dogs. I think I love dogs more than I love humans because they're just man's best friend. I want you to send all your photos, if you do go to the game with your dog, to PHNX_Wildcats. That is our major hub for all things on this beat. They will play UT Arlington tonight. It is the first time these two programs have matched up. One of 4 first-time opponents for Arizona this baseball season. Mason White was selected as a Big 12 co-player of the week this week. He is the first Wildcat to earn the Conference Player of the Week honors since Chase Davis and Kiko Romero in 2023. I remember those. I was on campus during that time. Very fun team to watch with Chase Davis, in my opinion. And yeah, so make sure to go support Mason White. He is just 1 home run away from being tied third all-time in Arizona program history for home runs. Bark in the Park, Arizona baseball, UT Arlington tonight. Go show some love to the Cats. And then also I wanted to give a shout out to Devyn Netz here of the softball team. Softball swept the doubleheader yesterday against New Mexico as expected. They continue to stack up the victories this season. But a very special moment happened yesterday for Devyn Netz, who received a golden ticket from the Athletes Unlimited Softball League as one of just 12 collegiate players to participate in the 2025 AUSL draft. I think that the season Devyn Netz is having is absolutely incredible. Daniel says, I just got here, but the title of the program should have a exclamation point at the end of AZ will have attendance problem rather than a question mark. So you're saying it should be a statement, not a question. You're saying that they will have attendance problems next season. I'm picking up what you're putting down there. Justin Spears and I talked about that earlier on the pod if you do want to rewind. But real quick, I will briefly say, I'm not so sure that attendance will be awful next season. I feel like it won't be empty. I don't think they're going to be selling out by any means. But I think if the team looks okay, if Noah Fifita is back to being Noah Fifita, there will be no reason for fans to not come out and see the last season of Noah Fifita at Arizona. I think they will have some attendance problems. Not sure it will be the biggest attendance problems as maybe we were expecting at the end of last season. Fair. Continuing on Devyn Netz here. She was a part of that 2022 team that made the College World Series, and this season she became the first Arizona Wildcat ever to throw a perfect game and hit a home run in the same game. It is an unbelievable story this season for Devyn Netz. She currently leads Arizona with 18 wins and 16 home runs, both ranking second in the Big 12. She is ranked top 50 nationally in home runs per game, RBI per game, strikeout to walk ratio, victories and walks allowed per 7 innings. The AUSL's College Draft Show is scheduled for this is that this Saturday? No, that's next Saturday. Next Saturday, May 3rd, and will be televised on ESPNU at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Like I said, Devyn Netz, one of just 12 players across the nation to get invited to this draft. So it is a very special opportunity for not only Devyn Netz, but for Arizona softball to continue that professional legacy that they have there as well. And folks, that is pretty much going to do it today. Like I said, take that survey that I sent in the chat. Please, there is a fill in the blank there, and maybe your answer could get featured on a future episode of the AZ Wildcats podcast. I will certainly be writing a Die Hard only article, taking those answers, kind of breaking them down, thinking about why those answers are the way that they are, and so much more. So become a Die Hard. Luke is already a Die Hard. He joined our Discord yesterday, and he said, we need more Wildcats in here. We need more people from the chat that I love interacting with in this Discord. So if you want to listen to Luke, make sure to join the Die Hard community. Is the first link in the description. We're running a very special sale. You get a free t-shirt, access to our Discord, so much more. And pretty much all for the price of one t-shirt. It's on sale. First link in the description. Make it happen, chat. I appreciate you guys for tuning in today, talking to me, talking to Justin. Your time is the most valuable thing, as Derek always says on D-backs, and he is 1,000% true. So I appreciate each and every one of you for spending the hour with me today talking Arizona Wildcats athletics. I appreciate each and every one of you guys in the chat. Please leave a like on this video. Follow me on Twitter. I am at Kevo Posts. Our AZ Wildcats podcast Twitter is PHNX_Wildcats. We have a buzzer beater from AZ Cats G here. Good job, Kevin. Have a good day. You have a good day, AZ Cats G. I appreciate you for your super chat and for always supporting this great podcast that we try to put on for you guys every single day, 5 days a week. That's not every single day, but 5 days a week, chat. And I appreciate you. Make sure to drink some water today. Make sure to support Arizona baseball as they play UT Arlington. Bark in the park tonight. Bring out your dogs. It's going to be a hell of a time. Send your photos to my social media. I will repost them if you send them. It'll be a great time. Honestly, just send me your dog photos in general. I don't care. Anyway, take care of yourselves. Bear down. Go Cats. Get out of here.
We all silly like the mayor.